An almost empty lobby, filled only with staff sitting idly, whilst the water keeps swaying boats that won't feel the presence of passengers for as long as COVID-19 keeps claiming lives and infecting people. Some flights to and from Sierra Leone were suspended in mid-March this year. Business took a turn for the worse.
Since the flights have stopped coming, basically business is at a standstill. We still one or two charters here and there, but that's just about it. Right now, it's basically at a standstill.
After we don't close the airport.
After they close the airport, there's nothing like business here. We depend on flights to survive. We are not expecting this to happen at this time. If business remains like this, I won't be able to pay my staff. I will have to lay them off.
The impact of the business downturn on the staff, who are most young men, is severe. Soon, most of them will be unemployed. There is no clear indication as to when the global pandemic will end and when flights will resume. Keeping the staff here without knowing how long this situation will last is costly for the owners. The Ministry of Youth Affairs has been reflecting on this problem.
As a government, as a ministry, we are really looking at, I've engaged the finance minister, and a couple of minutes ago, I'm just from state, I've engaged His Excellency the President to see reason why we can try to get some quick fix to help those young people that are really involved in the private sector. You saw the article, the transfer we made already, about 860 million sent right across the country in each and every district youth council. We are planning to have a quick project that we can have a quick fix as to how best we can engage these young people just to get their daily bread.
Projects like this, and even this, has been a source of livelihood for most young men in the country. The coming months could be a challenge for them. OLUSEGUN is worried because, as the saying goes, an idle mind is the devil's playground.
We do understand that the government might not be in a position to financially support us, but I think it makes sense to call a meeting of people in our sector and ask us, what can we do to help you? While you are aware that we cannot financially help you in a certain way. Security is one major way. Having a few officers, to come stay here with us and help oversee things, because we become targets and people get desperate in the city. Having a few people here, that's one way of assisting us.
But the Minister of Youth has confidence in young people, as they have been through worse in the past years.
What we're going through as young people, especially Sierra Leoneans, I'm very confident that we are one of the most resilient young people across Africa. There are challenges we face. Some are natural, some are man-made. Remember a couple of years ago, 10, 20 years ago, we had the war. We have a whole lot of minors that are involved in the war. And again, just after the war, we had another stroke, which is natural also, Ebola. It hits us as young people again. Just after Ebola, we had mudslide. It hits again. And here comes another natural mishap that we don't have control over, but yet we are pushing.
These vehicles parked right behind me are owned by taxi drivers. They've been out of business since flights stopped coming into Sierra Leone. They relied on those passengers that Sea Coach Express ferry from the airport to Aberdeen. It has been a difficult moment, not only for Sea Coach Express, but for also taxi drivers who rely on Sea Coach Express for their living.
The Ministry of Finance has held talks with key government institutions, including commercial banks, to help save private businesses from going bankrupt during the COVID-19 pandemic. Special measures have been put in place.
Recently, we see the Bank of Sierra Leone, issue out a monitoring statement talking about reducing monetary policy rates for lenders, for commercial banks, and to also pump some amount of money into commercial banks so that can be accessed by businesses to as loans so that they can keep their business running. We also have the program is also looking at supporting vulnerable groups through safety net programs, because we know there are very vulnerable groups in Sierra Leone that can't fend for themselves on a normal basis, not to talk about in a situation wherein people are restricted, they can't move, people can go about their daily activities. So there is also an aspect of the program that is dealing with supporting those through cash transfer program, and also young people to see how they can engage in public works, maybe say road construction, so that they can earn some money from there. And also the production of local food, the production and process of local food is also part of the program.
Sierra Leone has registered its index case. Case number 1 is imported.
This has eventually made matters worse. With escalating infections around the world, it is unclear when the world will heal from this terrible tragedy that has devastated families and the economies of even developed nations. Abdullahi Kanu and his family will have to cut down on certain necessities because the future of his employment is uncertain.
A thing where you want to begin for take your family in that level, then just cut down like that. I think it will cost me a lot of strain. Absolutely.
Life was better before COVID-19. With the current trend of the disease, I've started talking to my family to adjust and adapt as the things they used to enjoy when things were normal will have to be cut short. It's nobody's fault.
In an article Politico posted online on the 27th of March 2020, a well-known economist, Franklin Sisabu Bendu, stated that over the last 2 years, domestic revenue mobilization by the National Revenue Authority and the Ministry of Finance had been on an upward trajectory. The operationalization of the Treasury single account was a big statement of intent from the government, a measure the previous government found very difficult to implement. According to him, despite these gains, however, COVID-19 may adversely impact domestic revenue mobilization.
Even before recording a positive confirmed case, we've been affected, the economy of Sierra Leone has been affected to some extent because most of what we use here are imported from other countries, and so generally if you look at even business people going to China to buy their businesses, but because of this virus that has been halted at some point.
Some of the business owners are worried that things will go bad in few months if the world continues to be sick. They are anxiously waiting for help from the government.
It would really feel good if they actually call us to a meeting, sincere meeting, and listen to some of the issues that we have or what we foresee might be problems, with this whole thing going on, and find ways to assist us. To give a generic solution to every company's problem, I don't think it's going to work. For a doctor to know what's wrong with me, you need to talk to me and know where it's paining me to know what medicine to give me. If they call us to some kind of meeting and discuss with us and tell us, okay, the situation of things, we cannot financially support you this much or that much, or if they can, absolutely, that'll be welcome. But if they can't, what can we do to at least help you get by this difficult time? I think it would be very nice.
Government know what if we do. Government know how it will boost we back if we don't collapse.
Government knows what to do. They know how to boost us when we collapse. I pray we don't get there. Even if government helps us, it still won't be easy.
As you can see, these are empty seats. It is definitely unusual, but because of COVID-19, flights were suspended from coming into Sierra Leone. This has been a big hit for businessmen who are actually engaged in water transportation. In weeks to come, and months, most of their staff will be laid off. And if it continues like this for more months, businesses will definitely close down like this one.
The health impacts of the coronavirus may be felt mostly by older people and those with underlying conditions, but the negative economic impact will be disproportionately felt by youths and small businesses. As we pray and do our very best to ensure that this dreadful virus is defeated, it is up to all of us to ensure that we provide support for our youths. Reporting for SLBC News, Hawa Barrie.